I don't know. I just find a lot of times like it's easy to get discouraged and to give up. Sometimes like we just need to commit to something forever, like long term.
There's this massive relationship that can grow or even start if you've never really ever started, that is just going to completely change your life for the better as far as peace and joy. It doesn't matter what the bank account says, any of that stuff, but there's a father who like loves you and is excited for you to come back no matter how many times you come back.
Right.
And I think just taking those steps, even when you don't want to, or even if you're taking them and you don't feel anything,
Yeah.
you just like keep going.
I think that's the hope for like this devotional is just like, it's just a one daily step.
Hey, bro.
Feast.
Feast.
Yeah. What's your favorite meal?
Dude, it's an island meal, dude. It's called like, I basically tell everybody it's kind of like island hot wings. But honestly, I think it's because like the way my mom's the only one that's like nailed it.
Is your mom Polynesian or your dad? Okay.
Yeah, my mom's Pacific Islander, my dad's Mexican.
Okay.
Yeah.
What island?
Guam.
I knew that.
Yeah.
Have you been?
Yeah, a few times. I lived there for a year, and then we would visit every once in a while. I mean, it's like a 20-hour flight.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's in the middle of nowhere.
oh yeah. My mom's like, why don't you take the family to Guam? I'm like, Mom, that's like $30,000 just to get us there.
Dude.
Yeah, I'd rather use that for something else like school and club sports.
So what's the meal? Like, what is it?
Dude, it's just chicken with chicken wings. And it's like,
So interesting for like an island. It seems like it would be more seafood.
I'm not a fan of seafood.
No,
I
I'm
like
just talking about
ceviche,
like if I'm thinking about
yeah.
Guam, I mean, it's a small island.
Yeah. I wonder it's because like meat is so maybe not as accessible. Maybe
So
back
when
then.
when you get it, it's like,
Oh yeah.
like we're gonna do this
We're gonna do
chicken.
this. Oh yeah. If there's ever a time we're having a family function, bro, I'll invite you because the spread is insane. Like even my in-laws are like, it's only us, right? Nobody else is coming. We're like, no, but like when we do it, it's like
Everything.
yeah. It's also like my mom. She wanted to make sure everybody's favorite's there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Is there a certain sauce or something?
No, dude, it's just the way they cook it, dude. It's like I don't want to give away the family secret, but it's like soy sauce, vinegar, salt, pepper, onions, garlic,
On
pepper, lemon, pepper or lemon powder. But the way you cook it and stuff like that, dude, it's like it's legit. And you pour it over rice, bro. I'm about to end this podcast right now, dude. We're gonna roll to my mom's house.
I often wonder like what all was around at the table for the feast with the father. What
Yeah.
he cooked besides the fatted calf. I mean, that was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you have beef at any table, I'm
No,
there.
totally.
Dude. Like I'm there.
Yeah.
You know, but like as Cajuns, like food is everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's
Yeah.
something central around eating. It's something so human and natural about feasting. You know,
Yeah.
the joy that comes around the table, the conversation, the healing, the reconciliation, like
Yeah.
everything that you can imagine that we need comes around this very human element.
Yeah.
You know, like God uses very tangible things to enliven our hearts.
Yeah.
You know, it just makes sense to me that the father would be like, he wasn't be like, all right, let's meet out in the barn
Yeah.
or in the field, or let's go do a project together. Like, no, he's like, let's meet at the table and we'll figure this out. We'll figure out how we have these relationships, you know, how we feast together, how we live. So it's interesting. Like the prodigal's just stumbling in like, holy cow. Like I didn't think I belonged here. And he's at the table with a feast.
Mm-hmm.
And the elder son walks in and is like, hey, bro, like what? And the father, like, it's beautiful because the father speaks truth into the lies that the older son has. He's like, hey, I've worked and I've done all this.
Yeah.
What have you provided? And he says, everything I have is yours.
I feel like in that, especially in that scripture verse, it's interesting because the older son, at least in Luke, he didn't see the embrace. He didn't see like that love when his brother came home.
Right.
You know what I mean? He was gone and he came back. So that's probably why I feel like he's kind of like, I've done all these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the revelation of that love or that maybe that embrace he's never had.
He's never
experienced. You know what I mean? He hasn't even seen it experienced because he came after the music was playing. He's asking the servants like, wait, what's going on? You know what I mean? Yeah. So that really stuck out to me is like, I would feel like there's a lot of times where, especially as I was coming back, I was doing all the right things. You know what I mean? And there's times in my heart where I'd be like, I don't understand why I'm dealing with this, but this guy who did all this, his life seems way better, way fun, way more free. You know what I mean? He doesn't seem so bound.
Listen how like a big fat baby this kid is, man. Like, this is me.
Yeah.
This is
No,
me.
totally. That's me too.
This is me. He says when he heard about his brother and the fact that his dad killed the fatted calf, he says he became angry and refused to go inside.
Oh, wow. I didn't catch that.
He's just like, nah.
Dude.
Right?
Yeah. It's a selfishness.
I run into men all the time. Like, I'm not going to church because of all the hypocrites in there. I was like you or that is like, that is such an immature thought right there.
Yeah.
Like, it's already about you.
Yeah.
You know? Because you see hypocrites. Well, I mean, dude, like, the church is like the place for us, every sinner to walk into.
Mm-hmm.
But already what happens is we turn inward, is what we talked about. So he became angry. He refused to go in. And I need you to hear this, because like, this is important. It says his father came out to him. So the father goes out to the prodigal son who's returning. He says he ran to him. And the father with the elder son didn't sit at the table and be like, he'll cool down, he'll come in. It says his father came out and began to plead with him.
Wow, plead.
Like, come in, dude.
Yeah.
And but he answers, he says, Father, listen, for all these years I've been working like a slave and have never disobeyed your command. Yet you never gave me even a young goat so that I might celebrate with my friends. When this son of yours came back, who had devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fatted calf for him. Then the father said, so the father then speaks truth to him. Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. And that's all he needed to know.
Yeah.
Like, once the father spoke truth into his inward selfishness. I mean, in the catechism, it says this: the worship of the one God sets man free from turning in on himself. Like, when we turn inward, we no longer see the feast.
Yeah.
We refuse to even sit at the table. We turn inward. I don't want to go to mass because of whatever.
Yeah.
This. We make all these excuses. And all those excuses are like nothing compared to the feast that the Father has for us. So the Father says truth to the Son, and it just breaks down those walls. And he's like, join us at the table. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, like some of those examples too. There's times where I just I look with mass. I'm just like, oh, this priest isn't a good homilist, or in my opinion, he's not reverent, even though I don't know his heart and like reverency. And then it automatically turns inward towards me. Yeah, like I'm just being the older brother. I'm focusing on like him instead of like the actual feast that's happening.
I mean, I think we see that a lot in the church right now in general, with a lot of division. Is like, it's for some reason like mass, and it's become about us.
Yeah, that's very true.
What I want, what I think, my preferences.
Yeah.
And what happens then is we no longer are even looking at the miracle of the feast, because we're just thinking about our own self.
I mean, I feel like sometimes I feel like that with confession. I'm just like, what do you mean, You know what I mean? Like, do you realize just like you missed it? And I feel like that's like obviously part of our humanness, but also like the evil one as well. Like, it's the point where my selfishness, I've missed everything that just happened. Not that it's still not there. Right. You know what I mean? But like, it's inward, just selfish.
I think us as men are at our best, at our greatest, when we're not thinking about ourselves. Yeah. And I'm not talking about like thinking about just doing. Yeah. I'm talking about like we live in the truth of who God made us to be, and we're no longer focused on like our little, and we can just see the world differently. Yeah. We see people differently. We see faith differently. We're much easier to forgive people and let things go. Like, we're at our best when we're living like that, but man, we are at our worst when we turn inward.
Yeah. Like caring about what we think instead of what like the Father thinks, you know, like that. The Lord like helped me through that just this past like semester. I was like doing all these things, and I asked the Lord, I was like, Lord, I felt like He called me to do these things, but I feel like everything that I've done is like so like half butt, dude, like 50%, because I'm like so pulled in different directions. And He literally just like said to me, he's like, I think you're doing great. And I realized like it was like my standards that are like getting in the way, like truly like receiving
Right.
a lot of things that he has me doing, or even like mass, like, you know, having my standards of what a homily should look like, or having my standards of what like confession should be like,
Yeah.
instead of understanding and like knowing the truth of like what just happened, regardless if it like hit my standards or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, the thing goes back to kind of like the self-reliance, the selfishness, you know?
Yeah. It's crazy to think that the Lord wants us to feast with him, be at the table with him. And we could be one or two ways. We could refuse to go in, or we feel unworthy to even be there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So like, I think every guy can relate to either wherever they're at right now in their walk, to the elder son or the younger son. It's something's going to convict, you know, my heart about this story, but it doesn't change the fact that everyone in the story ends up at the same place, which is at the table, which is where we belong, in the embrace, in the conversation, in relationship, in joy with the Father. From there, we live our best self, right?
I mean, I wonder like, how can I like feast on where I'm at? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially with the elder son attitude. I mean, it's all about unity. And correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like I'm like verbally processing right now. It's like, even when I get like the jealousness of like other people's lives or what they get, I remember what my mentor said, or I heard it somewhere. It's like, that's just a great opportunity. Like the Lord just wants you to pray for that person. Once that comes up, that's how you kind of like defeat it, which kind of brings us back into unity. Because I'm actually really looking and celebrating and looking out for the best for that person. You know what I mean? And just kind of like how the Father just said, you know, he was lost and now he's back home. And that just kind of like enters him in to that. So I feel like what I'm saying is like, how can I feast in like the practical every day? Is that when I come across those thoughts, I automatically can combat it with just like praying for that person. Because I feel like, you know, every guy tries to like, we struggle with trying not to like compare each other. Right. Jobs, whatever, or even losing our identity as sons in what we do.
Right.
But even in that little thing, that can like bring us back together to like that feast. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't have to like to be this grandiose thing, but even like in the practical daily.
You know, you were talking earlier about reading scripture, how it's alive, and like, I think on a practical level, the whole idea of the table and the feast is how do we live consistently at the table, where we're not this elder son or the younger, but like we're at the table. You know, I think practically we need to be doing things and look at things that help us to not turn inward, to look at God.
Yeah.
Right. So mass, right? Like seeing God, going like the sacramental life, mass and confession, where it's like the visible signs of God's presence. Like I'm thinking about God, not me. And as soon as like I'm thinking about, well, the priest homily wasn't good, or I saw so-and-so, I need to turn my focus, you know, back and God, reading the Word of God daily, you know, scripture, praying, having a men's group, you know, some type of accountability, and putting good things into our minds, watching and listening to good things, holy things. All those practical things help us to move our hearts, our minds, and our eyes to see God, and not like turn inward on our selfishness, because that's what turns us into sinful habits.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just looking at like our own self.
Yeah. That's why the son couldn't even enjoy the feast, because he was just thinking about himself.
The church is so wise, like the way that, Jesus knew like we're such tangible, visible beings that he set up the church sacramentally so that we can constantly be reminded through the physical that he is there. Mass is an actual, like a table, a meal, a celebration. Like how empty just to not have that. Like the Lord knew, like as humans, like we need that constant reminder. We don't get to do a lot of vacations as a family, but we've done some where we're super active and like, oh, that was fun. We got to do some things. And the most memorable vacations we've done that our kids, we still talk about, laugh about, is some like we rented a cabin in the middle of nowhere and we just ate and played games.
Yeah.
There wasn't much to do but spend time in relationship, laughing, talking, eating, cooking.
Wasting time with each other.
Being around a table. Those are the ones we remember, you know?
Yeah.
And we still talk about there's something powerful about how the Lord designed the church for us to live our faith. This constant gathering physically around the table, This is why you saw so much during the pandemic, like faith just became so distant for people. You see even statistically, like an older generation that just never came back to church.
Yeah, I think the pandemic too made me like even appreciate Mass even more, especially when we weren't able to go back. At least in Arizona, I think it went like 2 months,
right,
where we couldn't come back.
Yeah, one of the things, like you and I were in a grit group together.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that guys, like even with faith, like that is important, is that there is a sense of grit that we need, a sense of perseverance, courage, toughness, with God's grace. I don't know. I just find a lot of times like it's easy to get discouraged and to give up. Sometimes like we just need to commit to something forever, like long term. When you said your wedding vows, was there a maybe in there?
No. No.
Right.
Yeah.
But we do live in a culture that like say wedding vows and like still get divorced, because why? Like marriage is hard. Like, Like, did you ever like wake up and be like, I don't want to do this? Like your marriage is like, man, this is hard.
Yeah, definitely hard. Yeah.
So like, I think it's true even with faith is like, you can quit because it's hard, or you could just commit forever and push through when times are difficult or you're in periods of desolation or emptiness or overwork or away from the sacraments or, bitter, discouraged, broken. But quitting, let's let that not be an option.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the biggest lie too, when we start talking about perseverance and stuff, is like there's things that we need to figure out on how to get back with like the Father back to the feast. I know I had a Lent probably a couple of years ago where I just had this grace where I just asked the like, what do you want me to do for Lent? You know what I mean? Where usually I'm just like, oh, I need to do this. I need to do that. You know what I mean? I need to give this up and you give that up.
Right.
But just going to the Father and just being like, Father, what do you want me to do? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And I feel like, especially like right now, I feel like I'm in a season of just like desolation. And I constantly I find myself trying to do all the old things or just a bunch of different things to try to like get back as if he's not there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I do ask him like what's going on with the season, like when I'm praying and when I'm talking. Because when I talk or when I pray, it's like this with me and the Lord. You know what I mean? And he's like, no, you're right where I need you. And like being okay with that.
Being okay.
You know what I mean?
That. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there is something to say about just getting back to the simple things that work and that kind of being the restarting point. Because we all go through periods of highs, lows, and desolations in our walk with the Lord, right? So it's like, okay, like let me get back to consistent prayer.
Yeah.
Let me get back to going to Mass, saying a rosary, going to confession. Get those practical things in place, to kind of know. It's like if my wife and I are feeling distant. Oh, when's the last time we had a date night?
Yeah.
When's the last time we sat down and just begin to consistently have time together? So you go back to those things that kind of get you back on track.
Yeah.
That's extremely important so that God can kind of move you forward, There was a sense of grit in the prodigal son for him to walk back home.
Yeah.
There was a sense of like, I got to pick, myself up and go.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was a hard walk.
Yeah, I mean, even every step, it doesn't have to be something massive. You know what I mean? I feel like there's always like this need to have this big thing, and it's not,
Yeah.
It's just those little steps.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think just taking those steps, even when you don't want to, or even if you're taking them and you don't feel anything, you just keep going.
I think that's the hope for this devotional is just it's just a one daily step thing to help us in our walk with the Lord.
Yeah.
And just kind of enter in wherever you are with it.
Yeah. Especially it should never replace your prayer time. It should enhance it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And especially when the devotion ends doesn't mean the things that you do in that end.
Right.
Yeah.
But it kind of resets you. I kind of know when I'm starting to feel a little desolation or distant from the Lord. Like, have I been praying consistently? And I'm reading the Word. Am I allowing God to speak to me instead of me just speaking to God?
Yeah.
Am I going to Mass? Maybe during the week,
Yeah.
Have I been to confession a while? Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So kind of getting into more of a rhythm in the spiritual life that we can sometimes get away from. Which is the same thing as like, hey, we're having dinner tonight. Everybody's going to show up at the table.
Yeah.
But the Father is like, we're coming back to the table
Yeah.
to feast, and we'll figure it out from there. But everything will be lived out from this feast,
Yeah.
from this table. That's why the word mass means to be sent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's central in our spiritual life, that worship.
Yeah. I think like, yeah, I hate to say the word work because we don't have to work, but we do have to like take those steps. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, and I say that mostly because I felt like in the past, I always had to like work to like feel these graces. I had to like work to like get to this like point. So I guess like, what could we like say about like guys that just aren't feeling it or feel like they should start persevering or even just start, or they're entering a time of like desolation or something like that. You know what I mean?
It's like, Lord, give me the grace
Mm-hmm.
to do one thing.
Yeah.
To move forward. What is that? You know, just give me the grace to do one thing. Give me the grit to take that step,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
To commit to you. So like, instead of saying, if I can't do it all, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
That's silly, you know?
Yeah.
Let me do one thing to move forward in my relationship with the Lord.
No, I think that's a good thing. We just got to ask the Lord. Just ask, and He'll tell you. Even if it seems like it'll take like a long time, but you'll notice, at least in my experience, that there's things that your actions or your thoughts will like change the way it would have like even before you asked for that grace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's your prayer for everyone as they go through this?
My prayer is that the real like the night and day difference that's been like the past 5 years of knowing the Father, not knowing Him perfectly, not knowing Him 100% all the way through, but just knowing Him is just, there's such a joy and there's such like a life to be lived now. This isn't like a thing where I used to think like, well, we just got to suffer through this forever. And then when I die, I'll have joy and be happy. No, it's like, it's meant now. You know what I mean? On earth as it is in heaven, dude. Like, this is it. You know what I mean? And there's like joy and there's freedom like now.
Right.
And through that, that's how I learned like the love of the Father, the true nature of who He is. You know what I mean? So if that's my biggest thing is like, there's this massive relationship that can grow or even start if you've never really ever started, that is just going to completely change your life for the better as far as peace and joy. It doesn't matter what the bank account says, any of that stuff, but there's a Father who like loves you and is excited for you to come back no matter how many times you come back.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's my very basic.
Yeah.
Like that is everything right there.
Yeah. I think my prayer is that every guy would know that he belongs to the Father, no matter where they are, no matter what they're going through, where they've been, nothing.
Yeah.
That they belong to God, that they would come to know for the first time or through a reversion again,
Yeah.
the Father's embrace. Because it is through that you become fully who God created you to be in your vocation, husband, father, worker, priest, whatever it is, single person, like totally His, everything makes sense through the lenses of that, our masculinity, our identity, our vocation. So let's feast, dude.
Love you, man. Thanks for doing this, dude.
Dude, I love you, man.
Yeah.